What up, Keyforge? I am Zoc, and we are here for the final refrain adaptive week 2, round 2. We have JDG versus Donutsdad. And let's just jump right into where we're at in the tournament. We can see we're in the second round here. Donutsdad beat Not Tonight. JDG beat Ashitaka. And let's see a little bit about our contestants. Of course, both of them a very strong background with lots of achievements in organized play. We have National Alliance runner-up, U.S. National Alliance runner-up, Canadian National Archon runner-up, Seattle Vault Tour Archon runner-up for JGG. Also, Top Cunning and Kagi a lot, along with Donutsdad. Quote, of course, is thinking, and qualified through effort to all three final refrain. That's very impressive. And then on to Donutsdad, of course, a World Alliance champion in 2023. And with his quote, when an opponent forces you to forge so you can't OTK, you are in a happy place. He's, of course, also top cut and Kagi a whole bunch. Now let's see what their decks are. This is a matchup. We have Worlds Collide versus Mass Mutation. Stagastar, the Rogue of the Range, versus Baron Goffrey Richard. And you can see a lot more Ember on Donutsdad's side, a lot more Ember control. A bit more creatures on JDG's side, but what's really interesting from JDG's side is we have a Memolith and an Infomancer, a double anomaly deck, 2 grafting cards. So it's going to be really interesting to see how those are used. And then in Donutsdad deck, it's got the Sting, double Bonithing, double Markadis, Infernus. So lots of interesting interplay. There is artifact control in Donutsdad deck, none in JDG's deck. So let's see. I think they're already ready. Yes, they are. So let's jump over and get it ready. Yeah, they haven't created a game just yet. Okay. I'm really excited to see how this matchup turns out. Of course, with Adaptive, each player plays their deck first, then they swap decks, they play again. If one player's 1-2-0, that's the end of the match. If they play one, if they each win one, then the deck that they both won with, they bid chains for the third match. Let's see. So it's going to be interesting to see what targets under Memolith and Infomancer. I mean, there's 2 Binding Irons. You could increase the chains a lot. There's Tau Vapors. Yeah, there could be Exhume. There could be some really interesting things going on here. And then let's see. They're not quite in yet. I'm keeping an eye on it. Donutsdad deck, a very big Saurian lineup with Curiosaurus. And Safe House, a double Bonithing with Safe House, Borrow for the artifact control. Okay, they got a game up and running, so let's hop on over. I'm guessing, hey, I guess the password right. I didn't even look. All right. We got Friday Night Keyforge. Whoa, this is I totally did not pick the right scene. Sorry about that. Now we're good. I might have to change up who is on top and the bottom, but that's okay. We got Friday night or Saturday morning Keyforge, depending where you're at. And what's also great about adaptive is you can bring any deck you want and be competitive. What's up, Captain Gale? What's most important is knowing your deck inside and out, knowing how to get advantage with your deck, and knowing how to get advantage over your deck when playing as another deck. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two players manage that. I definitely am intrigued by JDG's choice with the grafting, because grafting isn't something that a lot of players have experience with the Memolith and the Infomancer. So I'm excited to see how that goes. And I forgot to change. I got ready for this last second. Let us change our custom art really quick to if I can find it. Oh no, where did it go? Oh, I saw it. Okay, save. Back to game. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, JDG is on the bottom. Okay, we lucked out. We lucked out with the names. We got lucky. Let's see. JDG was the first player, and he did mulligan. I think we're waiting on Donutsdad to see if he's going to mulligan or not. Hey, what's up, Stalker? Your first opening move would be to forfeit. That's, actually there is a adaptive strategy where you bring the worst deck possible and you forfeit right away. Then of course you win with their deck, and they have no idea how many bids to change with your really bad deck. That was a strategy some people would do. So maybe you're ahead of the game, Stalker. Oh, never mind. They hadn't even drawn yet. Okay, JDG does mulligan. Donutsdad was just checking out the deck, of course, and which makes sense. All right, Donutsdad does keep. Ooh, JDG starts with a Binding Irons, giving 3 chains to Donutsdad right away. Dinosaur's Bane may actually do something. A Dinosaur's Bane in JDG's deck, and of course some dinos in Donutsdad deck. He starts with Seeker Needle and Tempting Offer. DGG goes into Logos and Tau Vapors, archiving a card, playing Hologramophone and Titan Guardian, and Sanitation Engineer with Discombobulator on Titan Guardian. Discombobulator could be a key card in this matchup with the Double Bow Kniving Safe House on Donutsdad's side of the board. Donutsdad comes back, plays 3 Saurian creatures, Technosaurus, Praefectus Ludo, and Theros Centurion, and then JDG comes back with more Logos, plays a Candle unit out, reaps with Sanitation Engineer to discard Deepwood Druid, thinking about what to do with the Titan Guardian here. Praefectus Ludo is a little bit of pressure there since some Ember has already been captured. Don't want to lose the Ember. JDG decides to ward the Candle unit and fights off the Praefectus Ludo with the Titan Guardian. And Inch turn. Drawing 2 cards. Donutsdad does have another Praefectus Ludo and a Curiosaurus in the deck. Donutsdad goes into Shadows, plays safe house. A Seeker Needle to damage Titan Guardian, which just hits the armor. And Inch turn. DDG goes into Dis. And Donutsdad finally got rid of those first 3 chains from the starting Binding Irons. Still with hand size 5, will be back up to 6 unless there's more Binding Irons this time. Oh, Dinosaur's Bane coming down, destroying the Theros Centurion. Evil Eye and Malison comes out as well. Donutsdad Markadis's GDG back in a Dis. Xenofiend comes out. Rule question. That's when things get interesting. If the creature with Discombobulator dies at the same time as Fiend, does Ember steal? I don't think so. But I'm not going to answer. I'm going to let JDG. He also says he doesn't think so. And Captain Gale also says that. Okay, so he decides to then implode his Technosaurus and take out the Malison. So still doesn't take out the Titan Guardian. Leaves 3 logos on the board. JDG was Markadis and a Dis, but got 2 more discards, played Library of the Damned and Dendrix. Double Doom, Donutsdad goes back in the Dis, double Dooms a Titan Guardian. JDG discards Quantum Finger Trap, and then Donutsdad fights the Dendrix with Xenofiend to steal 1, so that he can play Bonesaw out ready, who fights the Sanitation Engineer. And does get to check. JDG goes into Untamed, a natural selection for the Ember, Perilous Wild for the Ember. And Ghost Talk, getting really good Ghost Talk value, reaping with both Dendrix and Candle Unit, and Gabuk comes down as well, and Molfin. Getting a check at 8, and Donutsdad forges his first key, yellow. We haven't got to any of the fun grafting stuff yet. I wonder, we do have a Borrow in Donutsdad's deck, so JDG might also be playing it a little bit careful with a Memolith if he's got it. Okay, Donutsdad goes into Saurian, plays a Consul Primus, a Sacrosaurus as well, exalting it to damage somebody. And then spoils a battle to capture a whole bunch, taking JDG off a deck. He destroyed the Molfin. And then JDG comes back with another Binding Irons, Greater Oxtet, and a Spider, and uses Gendrix to fight off the Consul Primus, using Library of the Damned to archive a card, getting to check, and using Greater Oxtet to purge Ghost Hawk. So Greater Oxtet value coming down, getting a check back at 6, still having a little bit of board control, and the Candle unit still out there. Donutsdad goes back into Saurian, plays Sagittarius Gaze for the Ember. Prefectus Ludo comes down, and Sacrosaurus fights off the Greater Oxtat. Immediately getting rid of that efficiency threat. Alright, down comes Memolith. No, nothing's been grafted yet because you have to do that the next turn. Spider fights off Prefectus Ludo. Discards Harbinger of Doom. And Library of the Dam archives another. Okay, we haven't seen the borrow yet for Donutsdad. He does go in the shadow. Tempting offer for the candle unit. Bone Kniving steals one. An Opportunist comes out on Sacrosaurus. Safe place, capturing, or sorry, taking an ember, storing an ember on it, and Seeker Needle finishing off Ghost Hawk, and then the Safe House archiving Bone Kniving. So he's got the Bone Kniving Safe House combo going. The Discombobulator is in the discard pile. Donutsdad has shed a couple chains since the Binding Iron, one chain left, up to 4 Ember, with 1 on the safe place. Let's see, JDG has gone through most of his discs. We got 4, 9, 9 in the discard, 2 on the board. So there's only 1 disc left in the 7 in hand and 3 in the draw, and 3 in the archive. So going into logos, we haven't seen much logos. Let's see, does he take his archives? What could he be archiving here? We haven't seen the memory chip yet. Maybe he doesn't want that borrowed. We haven't seen the Eddy yet. More artifacts coming down. The Anomaly Exploiter, Candle Unit, Titan Guardian, and the Eddy. Archiving something else. Up to 4 in the archives. And Hologramophone protecting the Eddy. Key cost now 10 for Donutsdad. Donutsdad goes into shadows. Safe place places another ember onto itself. Seeker Needle destroys the Ghost Hawk to gain an ember. Another Bone Kniving comes down and is archived with Safe House. So both Bone Knivings now in the archive. And Borrow takes control of the Memolith. What's Memolith gonna tuck? Memolith tucks Mark of Dis. And JDG doesn't have artifact control. So Donutsdad can mark a Dis every turn and play a Bone Kniving every turn in shadows. Wow. That is interesting. Okay, JDG goes back into logos. Sanitation Ninja comes down. Now the memory chip comes down, now that the borrow's gone. Candle uses its action to capture one. Hologramophone rewards the Eddy. Titan Guardian reaps. Anomaly Explorer destroyed the Sacrosaurus, and Eddy reaps. Gets up to 5 Ember. Donutsdad goes into shadows, uses a Memolith, Markadis's the Gabuk, plays a Bone Kniving, damages the Eddy with a damage pip, discards Mutant Cut Purse, uses a Seeker Needle to damage Eddie, uses a Safe House to bring back Modithine, adds another Ember to Safe Place. So 7 Ember combined between his pool and Safe Place with still a key cost of 10. And JDG has to go untamed here because of the Gabuk. But if he can get rid of that Gabuk, he's got a really nice Logos thing going on. Plays the unnatural selection to get rid of the Buck and Sanitation Engineer. Discards a Musek Murmuk so that he can't be Markadis back into Untamed. But we are going to see Donutsdad get rid of the Eddie with both his Bonithine with a damage pip and the Seeker Needle. And also Markadising back into Logos. Finally at check. With 4 on the safe place and 5 in his pool. So JDG goes into Logos, archives with a memory chip. Let's see, what Ember control does JDG have? The Eddie, Evil Eye, which has already been done, 2 Mustard Murmuk, Malison, and a Candle Unit, so not a lot. Not a lot. He does have an Exhume and Dis, but if he keeps getting Markadis and a Logos, he's got no way to get it. He could Anomaly exploit his Candle Unit, but still can't get rid of the Titan Guardian. Let's see, he did cycle, so at some point he'll get his Discombobulator back. But it's probably going to be quite a while before he gets his Eddie back. JGG thinking, is there any way out of this conundrum? If he gets his archives high enough, he can data forge. He's got 10 between hand and archives right now. So he really needs to get this key. He goes to Candle Unit, he captures with Candle Unit, reaps with Titan Guardian to get to check. And Donutsdad uses 2 Ember from Safe Place and forges. And JDG, Donutsdad does go back in the shadows, looking to take JDG off here. The Bonithing comes down, steals 1. The Markadis damages a Candle Unit. Seeker Needle damages a Candle Unit, gets it up to 3 damage. Safe Place puts the Ember. Safe House archives the Bonithing. So he should be able to kill the Candle Unit next turn as well and get to check. JDG has to go back into Logos. Let's see. It might not quite be fast enough to get to the data forge here. Let's see what he does. knows he's going to be locked in logos here for the rest of the game, probably. If he wards a candle unit, 1 damage pip will take off the ward. The market disc will do 2 more, and then the Seeker Needle will destroy it. Sanitation Engineer reaps, discards Dinosaur's Bane. So looking ahead to next turn, even if JDG forges, he would have 12 cards in hand and archives. With all the stealing, I don't think that'll be enough. To get him to the Data Forge. So he goes up to 8. Donutsdad goes Shadows again. Bonithine comes down. The damage pip takes a ward off the Sanitation Engineer. Market disses the Candle unit. Seeker Needle finishes it off, getting an Ember, getting the 2 Ember from it. Safe House takes back the Bonithine. Safe Place puts an Ember on itself. Discards the Sting, gets to check at 7. JDG does get his second key, has 1 Ember, has to go Logos, takes his archive, 12 in hand, reaps. Is that enough to do Data Forge? Is it 15? Oh, but the Sanitation Engineer discards 1. Is it 1 away? I think it's 1 away. Oh, 10 plus. Never mind. It was 2 away. Right? Still really close. Really close. Wow. Really close. I'm wondering if the candle you didn't capture twice in a row, would he been able to, and he reaped instead? Would he been able to get there? Oh yeah, am I supposed to capture logs? I haven't been I've been super busy this time, but I got logs. So I haven't been paying attention much, but that's what we did last time, so I'm sure we do. JDG. And then after I update this, I will update the score. Hey, they're even on the same side. Beautiful. Okay. Game 1 goes to Donutsdad. On to game 2. Oh, he starts with the Infomancer playing the Evil Eye. Probably just an action that he had in hand. Infomancer has Reap trigger the play effect of an action card grafted onto Infomancer. JDG goes into Logos, Prefectus Ludo, Pterodactyl, and Spoils of Battle for the Ember. Getting 1 damage pip off of Infomancer. Titan Guardian comes down, Anomaly Exploiter, Quantum Finger Trap, and Candle Units. JDG goes quickly into Shadows. Tempting Offer takes out the Titan Guardian and plays Safe House. And Bonithine damaging the Infomancer. Donutsdad goes into Untamed, getting Ghost Hawk value, getting 3 Ember because of the Evil Eye. Deepwood Druid comes down. Did he? Oh, no, 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 no. Didn't get 3 Ember, just 2 Ember because Infomancer only triggers the play effect of an action card. Doesn't get the Ember from it. Okay, JDG goes into Disc, plays Waking Nightmare. Double Doom takes out the Imprinted Murmook and hits the Binding Irons. That's a pretty good hit. Plays Xenophane, Implosion onto the Xenophane and taking out the Infomancer. And steals 1. Gets to check it at 6. Alright, Donutsdad comes back into Disc. Dinosaur Bane takes out the Praefectus Ludo. Greater Oxtet comes down. And Spider. And purges with Greater Oxtet the Perilous Wild. Let's see. On his board, he doesn't have a way to address the Greater Oxtet. Let's see if he can do anything in hand. Goes into Saurian. Therocentrion comes down. Praefectus Ludo comes down. Pterodactyl gets rid of its stun. And Consul Primus comes down, damaging the spider. Donutsdad goes into Untamed. Mustek Murmook takes out the Consul Primus. Molfin comes down. The Imprinted Murmook comes down. Deepwood Druid fights off the Ludo, and Ghost Hawk finishes it off. And he passes turn. And Greater Oxtet purges Sanitation Engineer. Greater Oxtet now up to 8 power. Now, JDG could go in the Saurian and finish it off with Therocentrion and the Pterodactyl. But goes into Shadows instead. Mutant Cut Purse comes down. A Mug comes down, capturing on the Pterodactyl and then hitting the Pterodactyl to take the Ember from it. The second Bowknifing comes down. With another damage pip. We do have the safe house already on the board. I thought it was safe place before, and I was mistaken. It is the safe house. So he can get one of the Bowknifings back into his archives. He decides to damage Imprinted Murmook with a damage pip. Opportunist goes on to Therocentrion and capturing onto it. Bowknifing fights off the spider, and Safe House archives the other one. And there was one more damage from the Opportunist onto Imprinted Murmook. Donutsdad goes into Logos, plays out Memory Chip, plays out Hologrammophone, Quantum Finger Trap, swapping the Imprinted Murmook and the Greater Oxtet. Anomaly Exploiter taking out the Pterodactyl. We haven't seen the Borrow yet on JDG's side, so he could get a Memory Chip, or he might wait for the Memolith. We'll have to see what he thinks there. The discombobulator also comes down on the Greater Oxtet, and it purges Malison. And a Titan Guardian comes down as well on the other side. We got some interesting positioning going on in this match. The discombobulator on the Greater Oxted is huge for Donutsdad. We'll have to see if JDG has any way that he can take care of it. He goes in the Dis. Marketus comes down on the Candle unit. Red Hot Armor. And Techno Fiend. And Infernus comes down. Let's see what he's got. He could take out... He just goes for Ember, Evil Eye, and Dinosaur's Bane. And Passage Turn. He's up to 5 Ember for a second key. So Donutsdad goes into Logos, getting memory chip value here. Playing out a Sanitation Engineer. Fighting off the Techno Fiend with a Titan Guardian because the steal can't happen with a Discombobulator. Warding the Candle unit with Hologrammophone. Swapping the position so that it's behind the Titan Guardian and then reaping with it. And passing Churn. So far behind in the Ember, but building up a big board. Is it going to be enough in time? Let's see, what else does Baron have for removal? Not sure if we've seen, I think we've seen the Implosion already. And I think we saw the Double Doom as well. So, yeah, there's a Double Doom, there's the Implosion, there's a Tempting Offer. I think there's only one, there is 2 Tempting Offers. So Tempting Offer could at least get rid of the Discombobulator, if we get to that. But JDG goes into Saurian. Has a key and a half lead, but looking down on a bunch of artifacts and a big board. But does have a Bone Knithing in the archive if needed for the future. Okay, Sagittarius Gaze comes down, exalts the imprinted Murmuk. Umbrasaurus comes down, exalts the Umbrasaurus to finish off the imprinted Murmuk. Reaps with Thero Centurion, which makes Candle Unit draw a card for Donutsdad, and then plays Defense Initiative to do some warding. Warding the Mutant Cutpurse, the Thero Centurion, and the Infernus. Donutsdad goes into Logos. Memory Chip, getting more value. Tau Vapors comes down. A JDG is at check with 8 Ember. Will we see the Eddy coming down? We haven't seen the Eddy yet. We do know that Donutsdad deck does not have, which is actually JDG's deck, doesn't have a lot of Ember control. Sanitation Engineer discards Unnatural Selection. Titan Guardian fights a Mutant Cutpurse to draw more cards. Eddy does come down. Maybe he drew it with the Titan Guardian. He wards the Eddy, stopping the key, and Candle Unit reaps. Only up to 4 Ember, but JDG's key cost now up to 11. And Passage Turn. Now the big question is JDG going to be able to handle that eddy? Goes quickly into shadows. We know he's got a Bonylene with a damage pip in the archive. Does take his archives. Plays it out to take off the Infernus ward, and then uses Safe House to archive the Infernus. The Sting comes down. Gets up to 10 Ember. Safe Place comes down. And he's deciding to do with what to do with Mutant Cut Purse. Oh, the Borrow does finally come down. Does he take the memory chip? No, the Quantum Finger Trap. He's got to make that eddy get to a place where he can fight it. Swaps it with a Sanitation Engineer. Fights into the eddy. Only takes off the ward. Is at check with 11. Now, what's interesting here, Donutsdad went into Logos, uses a memory chip. Oh, but he took his archives. Okay. Goes Tao Tao. Key cost is already 8 with a Mustek Murmuk. Sanitation Engineer discards Ghost Hawk. Titan Guardian comes down. Candle Unit reaps. And Hologramophone wards the eddy, but we know it's not long for this world. Data Forge comes down just for the Ember. I would have been tempted to let him forge for 11 there, but I don't know. Yeah, he might have something else in plan. Okay, readies his card. Still has a hand of 7. Greater Oxtet purges Harbinger of Doom. What's up, Egad? Alright, so JDG gets his second key. Is going to have 3 Ember left over. Is going to be able to kill the eddy if he wants. We'll see. We'll see what's he does. Question: do damage pips resolve as separate instances of damage? I think so. If they're on the same card. I don't think I've ever seen a damage. I guess if you have like something that doubles it. Should be ward then from the second damage. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think so as well. Because they're each one is like a separate thing. Alright, so he goes this. Takes his archives. Hishraka comes down. Alright, he's got this thing. That's why he didn't forge. Markadis comes down. This is an interesting decision. What house is he gonna Markadis him into? Untamed, hitting the Molefin. A damage pip hits the eddy to break the ward, and uses the other one to kill the Molefin. Up to 13 Ember. So let's see, he still has to go to Shadow sometime to get rid of the Sting. And then maybe Saurian to get rid of the eddy. We'll have to see if he's got another way to get rid of the eddy. He also infurnaces his opponent's Data Forge and Tau Tau Vapors. But Donutsdad does get his first key, which will give JDG a whole bunch of Ember here. Yeah, JDG now up to 20 Ember. Donutsdad goes in the Untamed. With only one key, one Ember, it's hard to see how he can come back from this, but you never know. Plays a Mussark Murmuk, damages the Umbrasaurus, destroying it. The other Mussark Murmuk reaps, and he passes turn. Greater Oxtet getting up to 18 power. Still with a Discombobulator. Okay, GGG quickly goes into Shadows. Safe place to place an Ember there. Sacrifices a Sting. Still at 19 Ember. Seeker Needle comes down. I remember a tabletop royale game where Oxtet got so big that the owner needed it to die and stop purging, but couldn't. Greater Oxtet is pretty cool. He's up to 11 purge so far. Also with help from the Infernus. But we know that this deck does not have a lot of Ember control. The Evil Eye already purged out. Yeah, this is all but over. But we'll see what happens. GGG thinking here, he's got the Bonithing, he's got the Safe House. Maybe he's deciding whether he picks back up the Infernus or the Bonithing. The Eddy is still there. I'm not sure if there's a lot of ways to get archive cards. Obviously, there's a memory chip. JDG is about to flip as well. Getting a bunch of good stuff back. He does reap with the Bonithing and archiving it. Plays Tempting Offer finally to get rid of the Greater Oxtet and finally get rid of that Discombobulator. So now has some steel in the archive as well. Getting up to check at 21, key cost of 8. Donutsdad goes into disc, double Binding Irons, way too late. Memolith comes down, Library of the Dam comes down, Greater Oxtet comes down. Exhume for Ghost Hawk. Yeah, I guess he didn't have a lot of options for exhuming. To get Sanitation Engineer value, discarding Deepwood Drune and reaps with Eddy as well. Almost gets a check. Almost gets a check. But JGG forges his second key up to 8 Ember. Goes into disc. If he's got to mark a disc, it's over. I think it's over anyway. I don't think there's any way that Donutsdad could stop him. And can't get up to Data 4. Well, Data 4 just purge. Infernus fights off the Eddy. Bonesaw Marketus comes down into Untamed. Hystricog takes out the Mussark Murmuk, which does give Donutsdad a key, but JDG at check with 14 for his third key, and that should be all she wrote. Reaps twice. Plays a Ghost Hawk. Gets another 2 reaps in. Discards a Spider. Plays Infomancer. Exhume on the Infomancer. Unnatural Selection. Did draw Chew with a Titan Guardian, but I guess I didn't draw him into anything, and JDG has won. Let me capture logs. All right. Saving the logs. Updating the score. All right, on to game 3. So how many chains do we think Stagstar is worth here? Or sorry, Goffre is worth here. Not sure. Not sure. These ones they do have a decent amount of variability in the starting draw. All right, here goes a change. Bidding will start at 0 by Donutsdad because it's his deck. Let's see what the strategy is for JDG as well. Does he jump up to a high amount right away? How's he play it? I really have no clue on what the chains could be. With too many chains, and especially with the binding irons, it could be very risky, and the other one could just outboard it really quick. So JGG starts with 1, Donutsdad goes to 2, JGG goes to 4. I was kind of thinking somewhere between like 5 and 9, probably more around 6. Donutsdad goes to 6. What does JDG do? He lets Donutsdad have it for 6. That is a lot. And if he gets, I mean, do you just mulligan for either memory chip or binding irons here? And his deck goes first, right? I do not know the answer to that. He went first in the first game. Is that a TFR thing? I'm not sure. Well, that's what we're going with. All right, on to game 3. Starting with 6 changes, Donutsdad. 4 cards in the starting hand. JDG did mulligan. Does he start with a binding irons? No, greater Oxtet. That's a great starter as well. Purging Gabuk. Donutsdad Markadis's Integrator Oxtet and then double dooms it, getting rid of the Anomaly Exploiter and then playing Bonesaw. Ooh, the Binding Iron comes out second turn. Dendrix and Greater Oxtet. Donutsdad goes into Shadows. Safe Place comes out. Boniving comes out, damaging the Dendrix, and Mutant Cutpurse comes out. Alright, JGG goes into Logos Memory Chip, Titan Guardian, purging an imprinted Murmook. Oh yeah, I missed the purge of the Molfin. So getting rid of all the Untamed. Safe House comes down. Safe Place stores an Ember. Bonivine and Mutant Cutpurse Reap up to 4 Ember with 5 on the Safe Place. But we have a good engine going on JGG's side with both Greater Oxtet and Mutant Cutpurse, but goes into Untamed, Unnatural Selection. Ooh, Ghost Hawk coming down. Getting a couple Reaps in. Mustek Murmook taking out the Bonivine, so it can't be safe housed. second Mustic Murmur, taking out the Mutant Cutpurse, playing 4 cards, getting up to 3 Ember. Donutsdad goes into Saurian, and starting to build a board too, and that Greater Oxhead is up to 10. Pterodactyl comes down, capturing an Ember. Sacrosaurus comes down, it exalts it to take out the Dendrix, and Defense Initiative wards everything. Down the 4 chains, the hand of 5, 4 chains after the Binding Irons, and the starting 6 chains. Alright, JDG goes into Logos, getting the memory chip value. Titan Guardian fights the Sacrosaurus to take out the ward, killing it and drawing 2. Tautau Vapors draws 2 more, up to 8 Ember in hand. Archiving Candle Unit comes down, and Discombobulator goes on the Candle Unit. And Donutsdad goes quickly into Dis. Ooh, Red Hot Armor. Just doing a little bit of damage to Candle Unit. Infernus coming down. What's it get? Probably the Tautau? Yeah, Tautau and Unnatural Selection. Implosion comes down, destroying the Infernus and the Greater Oxtet, allowing the Bonesaw to fight off the Candle Unit. That was a great churn by JGG. Up to 7 Ember combined. The 2 Mustic Murmooks out there preventing the check, though. And down the 3 chains. JGG goes back into Dis. Malison comes down. Exhume comes down for the Greater Oxtet. And Dinosaur Bane takes out the Sacrosaurus. Discards a Memolith so that it can't be borrowed. And Greater Oxtet purges a Sanitation Engineer. Donutsdad goes into Saurian, exhausts, gets rid of the stun on the Pterodactyl, plays out 2 Praefectus Ludo and a Consul Primus, damaging a Malison with a damage pip. Just getting a bunch of creatures out there and getting that Pterodactyl live, which could be very important to get rid of those Mustic Murmooks. Could do some serious board control. JDG goes into Untamed. Ghost Hawk fights a Pterodactyl to get rid of the ward. Reaps with 1 Mustic Murmook, then plays an Unnatural Selection to get rid of 1 Ludo and 1 Pterodactyl and his own Mustic Murmook. Does mean that the Ember that was on Pterodactyl got removed from the other Perfectus Ludo. And then Reaps with his last Mustic Murmook gets to check at 7, but Donutsdad does get to Forge for 7. Quickly goes into Shadows. Tempting offer to return the Greater Oxtet. a second tempting offer to return the Malison, borrows the memory chip, and uses safe place. And JDG will forge his first key. Both players with 1 key to Ember. And Donutsdad is down to 1 chain. Oh, not anymore, because JDG comes out with the Binding Irons, back up to 4 chains. Library of the Damned also comes down. Will that give him enough leeway to keep making progress? Malison also comes down, and Greater Oxtep purges a Perilous Wild. Donutsdad goes into Disc, plays Break Key, damages a Greater Oxtet. He could take it out with a Bone Saw here. Also damages a Malison. Bonesaw does fight off the Greater Oxtet. And plays a Waking Nightmare and a Xenofiend. JDG goes into Logos. Sanitation Engineer comes down. Whole Gramophone comes down. Eddie comes down. And already cycling. Flipped his deck. Has already purged out half of his Untamed. Okay, Donutsdad goes back into Saurian. Umbrasaurus is played, Exalted, and takes out the Eddy. Consul Primus reaps, removes the Ember, and places it on Malison. And Curiosaurus comes down, and Ludo reaps as well. Gets to check for Kichu. This is looking like it might be an exciting finish here. We'll see. JDG starts with an Unnatural Selection. He'll be able to destroy 1 creature. Takes out the Ludo. Guess he could stop the key if he's got the second Musark Murmuk, and he does. Destroys the Consul Primus, reaps with the other Musark Murmuk, gets up to 5 Ember. Prevents the key. I believe he still has Evil Eye. I'm not even sure if we saw that on the first pass. Maybe he's got it in the archives. Donutsdad comes down, plays Sterile Centurion, spoils a battle to capture. Captures a whole bunch of Ember there. Umbrasaurus takes out one of the Murmuks, putting more Ember on the Malison. Gets back up to check at 7. JDG goes into Dis. Archives with Library of the Dam, Binding Irons. He is trying to slowly work up to that Data Forge, but without the memory chip, it's going to be very hard here. Yeah, he's actually a little bit behind here now. Does get a Binding Charge off, so back up to 4 chains for Donutsdad. I don't think he's been able to get rid of his chains at all throughout the whole game. Dendrix coming down. Malison fights a Xenofiend. So one ember from the Xenofiend will go onto probably the Dendrix. The other one will go to JGG, and then it will also steal one, I believe. Yeah. And then, but he also gets the Malison effect to capture one of the own ember on the Therocenurion. Donutsdad ember. And then he uses Dinosaur Bane to take out Therocenurion. And then one of its embers goes back onto Dendrix. So it has a little bit of Ember Pinata here. Donutsdad does forge his second key for 7. Goes into Shadows, gets the Seeker Needle out, gets the Sting out. JDG not yet gonna forge. Opportunist comes out and takes out the Malison, getting all the Ember on that. Mug comes out. Getting up to check at 7 again, but not with the Sting. Not going to be forging with the Sting out. So JDG goes into this. Archiving more with Library of the Damned. Another Binding Irons, up to 6 change again, just where we started. Almost 3Ks later. Exhume coming down to play the Eddy. With 6 in the archives. That is pretty good there. And Evil Eye, because he's going to redraw to get some extra Ember and a Reaper of the Dendrix. So he gets up to 6 Ember. The key cost is really 7 for JDG, so he's just out of check. Key cost this turn is 16 for Donutsdad, but it'll be 13 next turn with the Eddy and the Mustic Murmook. Unless he can get rid of the Eddy. Okay, he goes into this. Markadis into the Mustic Murmook. Hystracog comes down. Technofiend comes down. This is actually still getting pretty interesting. Because JDG is actually getting his archives up there pretty good. The Markadis in the Untamed is really good because yeah, he just reaps and passes. He does get the check though, which is huge. If he gets a second key, then he might be able to get to the Data Forge. Probably not yet. He probably needs one more turn. This is interesting because Donutsdad's also, he's got to get rid of the Sting and get rid of the Eddy. He does have the Technofiend, so he can steal one by like fighting off the Eddy. Technofiend reaps. Draws a card. Hystracog fights the Sanitation Engineer. Implosion then destroys the Xenofiend to steal one and kills the Eddy. He gets up to 10 Ember. Gets some Chew off at JGG. JGG goes in the dis. Oh, exhumes the Eddy again. This is going to be interesting. Got the exhume back. Reaps with Dendrick, gets back to check. He's already got 7 in the archives. So we know that he's almost up to Dataforge for free. Not quite yet, but almost up to Dataforge for free. Evil Eye also comes down, and Greater Oxtet, getting up to 8. Check at 8. And protecting the Eddy behind the Greater Oxtet. Okay. Donutsdad finally goes into shadows. Tempting offer, returns the Eddy. But that makes these at check at 9. There's the first Bonithing, damaging the Dendrix. Safe house for the Bonithing. Ooh, JDG might be able to pull this out. Sacrifices a Sting, of course. There's another safe place Ember. Seeker Needle onto the Dendrix. Discards the other tempting offer. Okay, so JDG forges. He's got 1 Ember. He's got 15 cards in hand and archives. Does he just win here with a Data Forge? Oh, the key cost is 7. So I think he's one off with a Mustic Murmuk. So does he just play Eddy and pass? Eddy, archive 1 and pass? Whew, man, it's getting exciting. It's getting exciting. What's going to happen? He's got 1 in his draw. Let's see, what does Donutsdad have to... Can he stop a Data Forge? I guess mark a dis? That's how? It's not in the discard. He's only got 5 cards in hand though because of he's still on chains. Very interesting. Maybe JGG is thinking, do I try and go for the Data Forge next turn or play around the market disc, try and get as much Ember. I mean, he can't get the check in logo, so right? Does go logos. There comes the Eddy. Archives a card. He'll be up to 9 in the archives. Wards the Eddy. And yep, in his turn, he will purge something with a Greater Oxtet, which is Binding Irons, and then he'll get up to 6 in hand. So if the Eddy survives here and can reap, he's got it. Because he's 1 Ember away. So he's got to kill the Eddy and get rid of the 1 Ember. Okay, but he's got the Markadis. So he's oh, and it looks like he might have enough Ember here to just win it. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. He fights the Greater Rockstead, steals one. He's up to 16 Ember. Key cost is 16. JDG did have Evil Eye coming back, and he's got like 6 out of the 8 cards. So he does go into Dis. Alright, if he's got Evil Eye here, I think he wins unless Donutsdad gets another Markadis. And maybe some other Dis shenanigans. There is Double Doom. Okay, Library of the Dam Archives 1. So he takes him off check. Greater Oxtet Reaps. Yeah, he didn't even need the Evil Eye, but he does play it anyway. He'll redraw and get a bunch of Ember. Get some Malison out. Key cost is now 20. That's with the Evil Eye. But now he's redrawing into it every turn. Oh yeah, it's the classic JDG cycle. I think this one's over. He goes Saurian. Sagittarius Gaze. Let's see, I guess with only 15 between archives in hand, Greater Oxted is actually now hurting him. So he needs to kill the Eddy and capture all the Ember here. Well, he kills the Eddy. Oh, but he can't capture all the Ember. I think... Yeah, I think he can just Data Forge here. Or he can just go Dis and exhume the Eddy. Because he's still got exhume. And reap. Get to check. Interesting. Data Forge is 10 plus key cost, minus the number of cards in your hand. So you'd get up to 4 Ember. Key cost would be 17. He'd have, after playing the Data Forge, 14 cards in hand. So 17 minus 14 is 3, so he has 4 Ember, so he forges. Yep. What a game. That was wild. That was like back and forth, like 6 turns in a row at the end there. That was wild. Very well played on both sides. JDG takes it 2-1. Thrilling game. I needed to triple tack. Yeah, fair enough. Whew. What a game. Good games to both. Yeah. So this is round 2 of the final refrain. Good old adaptive action. A lot more coming in there. Check the final refrain Discord for other streams. Yeah, bid was definitely right on the money. It was on the edge there. Could have cost me the game. I had enough 2 turns ago, except that made key cost +1. Yeah. Let's see. So we do have on Sunday, Now in Stereo versus Quick Draw. That's going to be on Captain Gale's Twitch. We also, let's see, I think, is that the last one of the week? I think that's the last one of the week. But this isn't the only thing going on right now. Let me check. I think, actually, I don't know if I can check that. I think Vault Tour Vietnam is still going on. So, thanks everybody for watching. That's a stream. I'm going to try and raid Justice Blinded and put you all over if he's still streaming Vault Tour Vietnam. So, enjoy. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. So, in 9 seconds, you're going to Justin Blinded. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And see ya.